Hi, everyone. Well, we've had our first technical glitch. We tried to go live a couple of times and it didn't quite work out. So we had to do a little bit of a refresh, but here we are now. And I'm joined by Cam Cam Gough, who joined Envato in 2018, bringing a wealth of experience in digital channels and marketplaces through his career that includes PwC, Accenture, ANZ, which is one of our biggest banks here in Australia. He was also at Australia Post and one of the founding team members for Digital ID, which is a local online identity business. Cameron is also a current board director of The Conversation, which is a global online news group. Cam is currently the general manager for our content group and is part of the executive team here at Envato. Cam is joining us today to share some insight into how the current environment is impacting Envato and the broader market, as well as some of the things Envato is doing in response. Please join me in welcoming Cam.
Great. Well, thank you, James, and hello, everyone. It's great to see so many people from so many different parts of the world. I was watching the chat earlier and just seeing so many places come up. Obviously, we started wanting to come to India and Bangladesh, but it's great in this online format that we could include so many people from different parts of the world, so thank you. I know our team are very excited to share their presentations with you today and the Q&A, and we hope that you get a lot of value from today, and we're certainly very grateful that you've given up your day to join us. We have over 1,000 people registered for today, so it's a great turnout. So what I wanted to do today was to share a little bit of what's going on with Envato in the current environment. Obviously very different times to what we expected to be in at this time of year, and also give you some updates on what we're doing to support authors in this environment. So I wanted to start with our mission. So our mission has always been to help creators earn a living doing what they love. It's a core part of what we're here for. It's the thing that drives us every day. And particularly in these somewhat uncertain times, I think this mission is probably more important than it's ever been. So in every month at the moment, we help around 25,000 authors from around the world to earn. We're in about 190 countries. I had a look on Google earlier today. It said there are 195 countries. I don't know which 5 countries we haven't reached yet, but it's so good to see that we're able to help so many individuals from so many different countries. And from an earnings perspective, $136 million was what we helped our community earn in 2019. That was a record. Some of you that have been following us for a few years will know that we talk about a $1 billion target. So that's $1 billion of earnings that we've been able to hand back to the community over the lifetime of Envato. And we're hoping we should hit that record this year, which is something we're very, very proud of. So let's talk about 2020. Coming into 2020, I think back over the last couple of decades, and we'd often hear these visions for 2020 and what 2020 is going to be like. And a lot of those involve robots and space travel and so on. And I certainly don't recall anyone setting out a vision for 2020 that included how 2020 is currently panning out. So it's obviously COVID-19 is the main disruptor for 2020, and it's certainly dominating the news. And it's very hard to think of anyone or any business or any country around the world that's not impacted in some way by this virus. Including all of us here today. So we wanted to talk more about that. So moving to Envato and how this environment is impacting us. The 2 main areas that authors earn from within Envato are what we call market, which is all of those websites that you see at the top of this page, ThemeForest, Code Canyon, Graphic River, etc. We call those market, and you'll hear many of our people today presenting will be talking about market. And the other part is Envato Elements. So whereas market is a place where you can, as an author, you can put your items onto that marketplace and put a price on those and sell them. Elements is different in that that's a subscription. where customers subscribe and have access to content through their subscription. So how are we doing? Looking at the top group market, we entered the year looking fairly normal, no sort of unexpected movements in how market was progressing. And then around March, which if you may recall, that was about when things started to get very serious on the global fronts, with COVID-19 clearly spreading. We saw initially a bit of a dip in March, so customers dropping off, sales dropping off, revenue dropping off a little bit. But then we're not quite sure what happened, but later on in March, things started to turn around, and those have been rising up to new heights for this year. So market overall is currently at a very strong level of performance. So that means customers are coming in, customers are buying. That means that authors are earning. So out of those, not all are participating equally in terms of those websites. So ThemeForest and Code Canyon are the standouts. So they're at multi-month highs, certainly for this year. And the other sites are also doing quite strongly, but not as well as ThemeForest and Code Canyon. Moving on to Envato Elements, similarly very strong as well. So that's continued to grow in terms of the number of customers that are subscribing. And that's also at an all-time high. So I think we didn't really know what to expect in this environment, but that would be probably the best position we would want to be in at this point. So it's really good news. So the question then is, well, what's happening here? So what is causing these markets to lift? And I would say that we've been speaking to others in the industry, and they're sharing similar stories of growth and sort of elevated markets. So what do we think is happening? So our best guess is, as many countries and individuals and businesses locking down, they find themselves needing to digitize, if I can call it that, at a pretty fast pace. So businesses that had a physical presence suddenly find themselves needing to go online, and some other businesses may be looking to start up online at the same time. And I guess that's supported by seeing that ThemeForest and Code Canyon, out of all of those sites, are probably doing the best. So that seems to support it. And I saw this this interesting, quite comedic meme going around. So who led the digital transformation of your company? And you can see there COVID-19 listed, which is very, very true. So we're in a good position now, but where do we go from here? I want to be honest and say that we don't know where things will go from here, but certainly we're in a good position now. I think there'd be three phases to what's happening this year and beyond. So the first phase is where we are now. So we're in this sort of lockdown as different countries take different approaches to trying to control the spread of the virus, and that's impacting businesses and social interactions and travel and so on. Secondly, we would move into an opening up phase. So you can see around the world, as some countries seem to pass the peak, they're starting to talk about opening things up a bit more. Doesn't look as though any country is going to suddenly open up in one step, but there'll be a gradual opening up of economies and business, and some of the social restrictions being removed. And then the third phase will be economic recovery. So who knows how long that will take, but definitely businesses are going to have to reset themselves coming out of this. So what makes it very hard is every country is really in a different position. Every business is in a different position. So you've got different economic positions of economic strength going into this crisis. We've got different health systems around the world that will cope in different ways. We have different strategies for coming out of the crisis, and there'll be different timelines for each region and each country and so on. So it's very hard to predict what will happen. From an Envato perspective, we're doing what we can to be prudent, I guess. We're very grateful for where we are in terms of our business. but we're certainly making sure that we're positioning ourselves as best we can to continue to support the communities that we care about as we go through the different stages of this crisis. So I wanted to move on now and just share with you some of the things that we are doing. Two main areas that I wanted to give you some insight on. So the first one is communication and insight. So today is obviously a significant thing for us. We've been looking forward to this for quite a while. Moving from a physical event to an online event has allowed us to extend this to many others around the world. This is hopefully a very useful day for all of you to hear what's going on and an opportunity for you to ask questions of us. I'd encourage you all, if you don't use our forums, to visit the forums regularly. We're often announcing important things in those forums. There's a thread that is highlighted here, and I'll provide some links in a moment. And that was a kind of open thread that we ran just for authors to ask us any questions they want. And we had a number of members of our senior management team in there providing responses to those questions. So that forum thread's closed, but it's worth going back and just having a read through, and you'll see some of the responses and insights that we've provided. Another area that we're focusing on is helping authors understand what the opportunities are in the market. So we're collecting really good trends data and search data, and that's giving us some good insights into opportunities and gaps we've got in our library. Some of those are provided through our community blog, and I'll provide some links in a moment. And others we're providing through the forum, and on the elements side of things, we're building out a dashboard that's in a beta form. We're starting with elements, but we'll be planning to extend that to market as well. And you'll be able to pick up some insights from that at an author level and at also a sort of site level. So that's kind of the communication side of things. Moving on to the second area, which is probably most interesting, will be opportunities to earn. So we want to make sure that we're providing as many opportunities for our wonderful author community to earn. So template kits, some of you will be across already. Template kits, we have many customers that like to use page builders, WordPress page builders. So template kits provide a sort of set of design templates that can be used to give you a head start on that. And you'll see some of the other content types that are in the pipeline or almost ready to go or have just released on the right-hand side there. Content incentives is another area. So these are dollar incentives to authors, and we focus these on probably two main areas. One is new content types such as template kits. So the bonanza that you see there has it's just closed, but we were offering $200 to every template kit that was contributed to that bonanza. And other things we're doing is finding gaps in our library, areas where we know customers are searching and they're not finding enough content, and we provide through creative briefs ways to earn money if you contribute to filling some of those gaps. We have more coming, so please keep an eye on the forums and you'll see some of those opportunities coming through there. Other things we're doing, I did see someone is in today from 2020. That's wonderful to see. So 2020 is an iPhone app that we use. It's a community-based photo sort of tool. You can log on there and sign up and contribute photos to the community, and we run a number of challenges. At any time, there's several challenges running. So what we've done recently is we've increased that prize pool very significantly, both in value terms and in the number of people that can participate in that prize pool. On the right-hand side there, we know that some authors have items on both market and elements. Where that is the case, if a customer goes to the market item page and they link through and end up subscribing, we're looking at paying a commission to that author. So that's in a trial at the moment. I want to stress that's still in trial stage, but we're hoping that that will show some good results and we'll be able to roll that out. And there's more information on that in the forums. And the last thing I wanted to share is around author discounting. We often get requests from authors to allow them to put items temporarily on sale or to discount their items. That's not an easy process at the moment, but we want to make that an easy process for authors to do and to enable them to do that on a bulk basis if you have a lot of items. So that's currently going through some experiments and being developed, but we hope to roll that out soon to make that available. I have included here, I believe these will somehow be made available. So I've included here some links to some of the things that I've covered today. And that is the end of my presentation. I wanted to say thank you very much again for joining us. I'll hand back in a moment to James, and I hope you get the most out of today. Use the Q&A session as you go through the day, fill in those questions, and we'll be coming back later on to answer those. But thank you again for turning up, and I'll hand over. Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Cam.